Hey guys, Don here. In this next audio, you're going to actually be seeing something that's going to be easier to look at with video. So I'm putting a link to the video on my YouTube. Basically, I'm going to go over how to outsource stuff I don't want to do. And this is a question that someone asked me, so I made a video to show it, but I'm including it here. I'll put a link underneath it. Okay, hope you guys enjoy it. So the question that Jody asked me here is how to outsource, and there's a lot of different ways. And what you were mentioning, Jody, is your tale of woe is trying to outsource and sift through like these. Hey, who do you use? Like you could ask me, Don, who do you use to do your transcription, or who do you use for this, or who do you use for that, and then kind of wasting a lot of time, right? And so that's kind of the struggle, right, Jody?
That is the struggle.
Okay. So when we talk about outsourcing, give me kind of an example of something that maybe you'd like to outsource, or do you want me to tell my examples of what I use it for? What would you prefer?
Well, we can use a little bit of both. So, okay. For example, maybe I'm looking for someone to help me on LinkedIn ads or Google ads, or maybe to come up with webinar copy, something along those lines. Those are the three that come to mind.
Okay, good. So there, and you've probably tried, you said Upwork was one that you mentioned.
I've tried Upwork, and it's not that there's not qualified people in Upwork. I just find it overwhelming because I might post something and I get a gazillion people, or I get no one, like I get crickets. Or if I go the other way and I try and find people and invite them, there's a gazillion people on that side. And it's how you kind of sort through and find.
How do you see who's qualified?
Right, the qualified people.
Okay. So I've done a few things. So a couple of outsourcing methods that have worked for me. You probably have heard these. Well, first of all, like the king of outsourcing, if you've read any Tim Ferriss's books, or Ari Meisner, the Art of Less Doing. Have you heard of
I haven't read that one.
So it's called The Art of Less doing. And so he has a lot of good tips in his book. So certainly he also has a virtual assistant company, right? That's the whole idea behind him. So I can tell you what I've messed up with. First of all, I did have a Filipino virtual assistant, and he got COVID. And then I think he just really didn't want to say he didn't like what he was helping me with, but because they're very nice. And he just kind of never showed up again. There is a Filipino virtual assistant. So that would be a dedicated virtual assistant. You would have them for so many hours. There's a couple of places you can get them, and they could do specific tasks, but usually they're not as detailed as the tasks that you need. Okay. So I had used him for, like, I gave him login access to my YouTube, and he used to put in the descriptions. He used to put in the tags. He used to put in the call to action for my YouTube videos. He did a good job with that. And he can do some like data mining and some stuff like that if you needed that done. It sounds like for what you need, the go-to is probably going to be Fiverr. Have you done any Fiverr work?
A little bit.
And the only reason I'm saying Fiverr, so my go-to are Fancy Hands and Fiverr.
I haven't heard of Fancy Hands.
Yeah, so those are my two go-tos. And the reason I like those two, because they do two separate things. I'll first talk about Fiverr, the reason I like it. With Fiverr, you can ask for something done. It's a specific task that you need. So what tends to happen is these people do these things hundreds and hundreds of times. And then what you can do is you can see how many times they've done that gig. It's called a gig. Okay. And so, for example, I wanted to set up a Shopify website, and I found someone that had done it hundreds of times, and then I can hire them to do it. And since they're doing it so many times, it tends to be a lot less expensive, like design work, like taking a Word document and making it into a beautiful PDF download. They can do that for you. Taking your videos, editing it, they can do it. Helping you to do AdWords, they can do that. So they're very specific tasks, and you have to pay per time that you have them do it. So I want to do a campaign for Podiatry to get people in the office with plantar fasciitis. They will help do that specific campaign for that for a pretty reasonable amount. So Fiverr is good. Now, Fancy Hands is just cool. It's like my virtual assistant. It's like my assistant that does everything, because I don't have one of those. And so, like the other day, I took a picture of the pillows on my jacuzzi because I needed to swap them out. I took a picture, sent it to them, and say, hey, can you find where I can buy these? And they found it for me, and they charged like $7. Like I couldn't find that for $7. And so you get so many, they don't call it gigs, so many tasks. So I have one $30 a month and I get 5 tasks and they keep adding up. And so eventually, like, let's say I'm doing a book thing where I want someone to edit a book, I'll send it to, and they may use 4 or 5 tasks. Very commonly, let's say we talk today, Jody, and I like you, which I do. And I'll say, you know, can you just send a book? Can you send a book by Ari on the art of less doing to Jody? So I'll send that to them. I'll send your contact and I'll say, look it up in LinkedIn, look her address up and send it to her. And I pay $8 and they actually send it and they give an authorization thing in my email. I click it and I authorize payment through whatever credit card that I have. So for these like tasks that you need done, they're more like they're 20-minute segments basically. So they're segments of 20 minutes. That's how you use Fancy Hands. So those are the two that I spend most of my time in, are Fancy Hands and Fiverr. The thing with Fiverr, you would look it up, for example, on a certain task. So we can actually go there. Let's share screen here and play around here. Okay.
You had also asked what some of the ones I wanted outsourced, and you shared 2 really great examples. What are some of the other examples that you've maybe used Fiverr for where you have found great success? Maybe something that I haven't thought of, gosh, I should really outsource that you've done.
So why don't I it'd be easier for me just to show you.
Absolutely.
Here's my screen 1 here. Can you see that screen here?
I can.
Okay. So let's first look at Fancy Hands. So the way Fancy Hands looks like, and certainly I don't earn any money with them. And I spend some money. I don't spend a ton of money with them. But let's look here. So these are all the requests. This is how it looks like. And this is the time I've saved and things like that. So I sent The Gap and the Gain to someone. Okay, that's that Dan Sullivan book and Ben Hardy book. I was at a certain event, and actually I was in Strategic Coach, and there were about 50 people I didn't know, but I could capture the screen. And so I wanted to meet them. So I had this person send me all the LinkedIn handles for all those people. I wanted to send a copy of the obesity code to a primary care doctor. I sent another book. This is a person, I did a lecture on dance injuries for dancers. And I requested from my local library articles, and they gave me like 6 articles, but I wanted them to review the articles and give me a little outline of the articles. So they did that for me. I wanted to find a digital recorder, pillows for my jacuzzi. I wanted to make a sticker that I put on the back of my business cards for post-surgical like a review. It's like a QR code. So they not only designed the sticker, but I did Fiverr to design it. And then I used this one to print the sticker. So they find places to print it. So basically gave me 3 options. I just picked one. I wanted them to help find a pair of jeans. I wanted them to help find shoes. And so you can see these are the types of things that I have them do. You can use them a lot more. I had them make a Google Doc. I use Kajabi for my marketing. So they developed an email sequence within Kajabi. So I said, hey, get all my videos on plantar fasciitis and put one a day in an email sequence. When they get a book on plantar fasciitis, you're going to send them a whole bunch of emails. One of my videos, I wanted them to get rid of my grill. I had a grill and I didn't know how to get rid of it, and they got rid of it. They got a list of all the nail salons within a 10-mile radius, and they added them to my list so I can reach out to them once a month for my newsletter. My dad's in South Dakota. I wanted a house cleaner when I went out there to visit him, and they found the house cleaner for me. I wanted to get a COVID test locally. So you can kind of see, I just use this for everything that I want to do. I wanted to find a neuropathic doctor for my aunt. So I do it for a lot of these things. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm curious on no need to go back, but on your Kajabi email, did they also write the emails, or did you write the emails and then just send it?
They could write them for me. But you have to give them kind of guidance. So what I did is I did one email and they just changed the link to my YouTube.
Got it.
It was real simple. Okay. So here are my orders. So you can see where I spend money. So within Fiverr, the main thing I do, this was that sticker I told you. So it was a combo. These guys designed the sticker, and then then Fancy Hands found a place to print it because they don't print stuff here. I do a lot of books. So this was a book layout. This is what I call my shock and awe package. If you know Dan Kennedy, he talks about a shock and awe package. And so if you go to my blog, which is drpelto.com, it's called a welcome packet. So basically before someone sees me, they get a copy of this thing. And this mammoth is 243 pages of goodness. And basically it just wows them before they come and see me. So I send this out to all my patients, and it basically how I got into podiatry. I have courses, books, my local television show that I do, articles. And basically this is a virtual junk drawer. I took everything that was on my website, on my YouTube, and I just did this all in a Google Doc, right? And all these articles that someone else wrote for me in the past, or they wanted me to be co-authors, and I put those all in this big document. And I sent it to Fiverr, and this guy I've used for multiple books. So all my books were designed by him. So if you look at my books here, this guy did all of them. So if you look at books, they all look consistent because this guy did them all the same. So I wrote them in Google Docs, and then he designs them and does a beautiful layout. So that's this guy. I wanted to do a Shopify store. So what I would recommend, two things. I'll tell you my mistakes. I thought I wanted a Shopify store. I spent $300. I designed a Shopify store, and then I closed a Shopify store. So if you're doing it, they usually have different level gigs, like a $50 gig, 150, then 300. I would start with the low one. And if you want to test two different people, what I do here is I do a lot of layouts for slide decks, for PowerPoints. So in the beginning, I had two people. I paid two people. I sent them the same slide deck, and I had them do two different designs, and I picked the best one, and that's the one I've continued to use. So I sometimes try two different people. It's cheap. It's like 15 bucks. But then the bigger ones, I'll just keep using that same person. So I kind of test them. Here they made a YouTube trailer for me. They did something in Kajabi for me. They actually designed my website for me. And so I basically, with this is my hack. You find a great website you like, you send it to this guy, he'll copy it, at least the first couple of pages, and then you can just copy and paste for your future pages. That was a good hack. This guy revamped my LinkedIn. This guy did professional video editing. This person developed letterhead for a little prescription pad that I have. So this is what I use them on for this. So like, for example, you were looking for, what you're telling me, was it?
Well, let's try, your LinkedIn was kind of motivating. So what if you were looking for like to revamp your LinkedIn about us page, or LinkedIn, like kind of what you had here? Yeah.
So that was the guy I used, but what you would do is you would search like LinkedIn. I will review your LinkedIn profile. I will optimize. Now, when you're looking at this, if you see 8 things, I wouldn't do that. But if you see something that's catchy, what I would do is I would select this. And if you scroll down, you're going to find, so this is what I mean about like basic, standard, and premium. But they'll show other ones. This is what I like about it. Recommended for you. So I took someone that had an 8 things to someone that has 117 to someone that has 331. Look at that. I would use this guy. Okay. Or, you could do 2 different ones, but this is how I get the other ones. I go to the recommended to you ones.
Got it.
That's why I would choose. So I don't spend a lot of time. 35 bucks. Come on. I'll just, usually it takes longer to guide them than anything because you have to explain what you want. And that's a little bit of a challenge for me. So, because I want to pay, but I don't want to tell them what I just want it done.
Yep, I understand.
What else do you want to look at? So that was one thing. What other thing?
Google Ads. That one, I feel like everyone does Google Ads, and now it's a challenge.
Yep. So once again, the reason I would choose these guys to do Google Ads, because with Upwork, not only are they competing, but it's like they want to be like your consultant for the rest of your life. This is like 1 gig. And if you like them, you can keep hiring them on the side. So you might try someone, what's 165? You could try this. You would just try one of these and you look at how many they've done. Like this guy's done 4.9 and over 1,000. I'd probably hire this one. They're going to manage it for you unless you just want an ad to be done. So this is how I would look. I would look for one of these. And a lot of times what I do is I filter based on, where is it? I usually do it the best selling ones. This is the way I filter it. Because I don't know, it's social proof. It's like the same reason I use, everyone looks at me and they see 300 reviews and my friends have one review as podiatrists and they all choose me. Could it be, is it incorrect? Could I not be better than everyone else? I could not be, but it took me a lot of work to get that many reviews. So this person has 333 gigs, you know, so you might want to do this for this. So you look at who has got the most, and I would kind of look at create Google, Facebook ads. Anyway, that's what I would.
Very helpful.
recommend.
Well, I appreciate it. And the little hack of going down below where they have recommendations. I didn't know that before. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. What else? What other virtual things? What was I going to say? What else? So virtual assistant, we talked about the Filipino one that I've tried. I spent a lot of money making mistakes on hiring. I've spent a lot of time trying to do things. And this is the thing, like I try to do things and I get frustrated because I have a really high quick start, but I'm not that detailed. So I try to do things like it's one and done. So for example, my video creation, I use StreamYard. And so I make the video and there's no editing that needs to be done. That's the benefit versus having an outside person edit your stuff. So I think if you can avoid having people do stuff, it's even better. So you don't have to outsource anything.
Right, right. No, this is all very helpful. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.